Ofek, for a job well done. It was indeed a very, very busy year. So many projects, so many accomplishments, all under your leadership. Thank you so much. Now we are going to move on with our presentation for this afternoon. But before I do that, please be reminded that we will be having a short Q&A after the presentation. You may type your questions on the chat box, and our speaker will try to answer them all after his presentation. Okay, so I am now ready to introduce to you our event speaker. Mr. Ivri Verbin is the CEO of Good Vision Grant Thornton. He is also the co-chair of Grant Thornton's Sustainability Services Steering Committee. He wrote 2 books, Corporate Responsibility and Corporate Responsibility in the Digital Age. He was also the director of the Paris Center for Peace and was an advisor of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He finished Masters of Business Administration and Strategic Management from Bradford University. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a warm virtual round of applause for Mr. Ivri Verbin.
Good afternoon, Philippines. I'm here from Tel Aviv. Very happy to be with you today. We are going to spend the coming 30 minutes about a very interesting subject, which personally I'm very passionate about. It's the corporate responsibility or sustainability, or some people call it ESG. It's one of the most inspiring and meaningful phenomenon in business management these days. After hearing His Excellency, the Ambassador, and the other team, I'm even more confident that it's very relevant to the Philippines, especially because in some way or another, this part of the world is in a way sensitive to climate change and sensitive to social issues. And I would say that in my world, I would try to interlink between these challenges and the corporate behavior and performance of business. So with your permission, I would like to share with you a presentation that I prepared. Just a minute. Until I will start the presentation, let me just introduce myself. Our company, Grant Thornton, by the way, has also office in the Philippines, and I think some of the team is present here today, and I welcome you. We work across sectors and across countries in helping business in different arenas. And I'm sure that today the new management of business is very relevant to all the challenges that we are speaking. I see is Ambassador Ilan Flus, who is in previous job was one of the directors of the Israel Department for Foreign International Support, and it's also interlinked to diplomacy, how business, government, and civil society can work together in order to solve these challenges. Okay, so we'll talk today about ESG, which is the synonym for environment, social, and governance. We'll talk about the maybe some of the challenges that you have, and the trends and the that are locally and internationally shaping our world these days. I'll spend a few minutes in talking about sustainability reporting and sustainability investments, because there are two main vectors that shape this ecosystem. And I will end with a few examples of business who took the extra mile and implement some responsible practices. I think I don't need to speak more about ourselves, but I will just mention that we are members in all the international standards and organizations that shape the sustainability ecosystem. So what you ask yourself, what is exactly ESG, or what is corporate responsibility? So I would say there are many definitions, but generally speaking, it's a management approach that take into consideration the needs from the society, from the environment, from the employees, from the suppliers, and from the investors, from all the stakeholders. And the idea is not to be a tree hugger. We are business people working in the business sector, but the idea is that it is a win-win situation. It's exactly the way that if you are doing well by doing good. Okay, I will say in a minute what are the business dividends exactly, but it's a win-win situation. The components of corporate responsibility, let's go clockwise. So we'll start from the marketplace. Of course, the product should be good. The advertising should be honest. The marketing and service should be reliable. You need to take care for the dialogue and to understand what the needs of your customers. Then we move to workplace. Workplace is how we as a business can, let's say, recruit people from different backgrounds, from diversity backgrounds, people with disabilities, people from minorities, gender issues. It's very, very clear today that it's not only that it is morally relevant, but it also has a clear business dividends. It's increasing your creativity. It's expanding your markets. So diversity is important. Accessibility for different people. All the conditions we give to our employees. In many ways, we are not only stopping on the legal level, but we are going beyond compliance. So in many ways, it's not enough just to pay the minimum rate or to give the minimum condition, but to try to do the extra mile. Then we move to another important issue, which is the environment and sustainability. As you know, every organization and every company and every household has an impact on the sustainability. By the way, even the Israeli Foreign Ministry, as Ilan knows, has a special ambassador to climate change because we recognize in Israel, and I'm sure that also in the Filipinos, that climate change is not only a nice to have issue, it's a must have issue to deal with. It has many, and we just heard about the typhoons and about the pollution. There are many challenges regarding climate change. We just had in Tel Aviv the last 2 days a big sandstorm that maybe it's connected, and we see the changes within the environment. So the question about environment is how the company should be more green, how it will be more create more recycling, how it will reduce the footprint, the emission, the carbon emissions is very relevant these days, and I will talk about it in a minute. Then the business ethics, we need to work in high level of ethical norms. Human rights, of course, I'm sure you're familiar with it, but we need to make sure we don't create any discrimination between genders and between minorities and between different kind of people, and we don't hurt any kind of human rights issues. Then we have another issue, which is the community involvement, how business can help the community. And I just heard in the introduction from the two distinguished speakers about the efforts you did in one of the cities after the typhoon, and also business today and these days, even in the war in Ukraine, many companies are helping to support the refugees, to support the sufferer on the ground. But business can do much more than only giving money. They can give know-how, they can give in-kind donation, and they are really doing it very well. Then, of course, the product themselves should be safe and in quality. The supply chain is also very important to the Philippines-Israel relationship, because some of our companies in Israel have suppliers in the Philippines and maybe vice versa. And the idea is how you take consideration of the conditions of the sustainability also with your suppliers, not just staying in your office in Tel Aviv or in Manila, but looking down the stream to see that your suppliers are also ethical, they keep the environment, and they are honest, etc. Then you have the corporate governance, with all the ideas that the board should work effectively and honestly and in a transparent way, and to monitor and guide the management. And to do all of this, we need to do exactly what we do today. We need to do a stakeholder dialogue. The companies must open their eyes and their senses in order to create a dialogue. It's also, by the way, relevant to government. When they do things, when they create new infrastructure, they need to ask the citizens and to be in dialogue, and the end result will be much better. So